All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope everyone is feeling well as well. And everybody is kind of, getting into the swing of things and they're going through, everything. Someone said they're putting their mask on right now. I understand. I don't think I'll be able to get you all sick through the computer. So we're going to go ahead and get through this. Um, I am one of the instructors for behavioral science. I'm Sabrina Adelson, and I'm going to be the one going through our lesson tonight. Your other instructors are here as well. If you all have any questions, they're going to be participating in the chat box, and they'll be able to answer those questions for you. Also, if, towards the end of the lecture tonight, I'll be able to answer your questions as well. All right, I'm going to start this off with a quote. The quote says, success is being uncomfortable short term for a long term goal. I want you all to read the quote that is up on the screen. And I'm hearing that you all cannot see my screen, so I'm going to make sure you all can see that. Can everyone see it now? All right, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Again, the quote says, success is being uncomfortable short term for a long term goal. So I want you all to read this quote, internalize it for a second, and then tell me, how does this apply to you, either in your life or in your degree program? I saw a question in the chat box. Is my instructor in here though? It looks like all of our instructors are here tonight. So you should see your instructor if you go under attendees. If you have any questions specifically for your instructor, you can select their name in the chat box and you can ask them a question directly. So could anyone tell me, what do they think the quote, success is being uncomfortable short-term for a long-term goal? What do you think that means, and how does that apply to your life now? I see Nathaniel has, the work may be uncomfortable, but it is so worth it in the end. I actually really do like this one. Jasmine has, doing things out of your comfort zone now for your future career. Stepping out of the zone to learn and grow. You all are right on the money. When you're going through your courses, and not just this course, but as you're going through your degree program, often you might be faced with different obstacles and different challenges. And, you might not always enjoy what it is that you're doing in the moment, but just know that it's temporary and you have a outcome, you have a goal, a purpose for doing this. So as you're facing those challenges and those obstacles, just always remember what it is, your long-term goal. In week 1, you talked about your purpose and your why. So you want to revisit that. You want to revisit the reasons why you're putting yourself through school, the reasons why, you're choosing your career path. And as you are doing that and you're thinking about those things and you are facing challenges, go back to those reasons. It makes the process a lot easier. And I'm seeing that absolutely true. You're experiencing these types of things not only in the military, you can experience this in your academic life, your personal life. Anytime you're faced with an obstacle, just always know the reason why you're there and how you're going to come out in the end. All right, our agenda for today is time management. We're going to focus on what time management is. We're going to talk about procrastination. We're also going to, as we go through each one of the sections, I'm going to show you all different techniques. And as we go through those techniques, I want you to identify a technique that works best for you. And that way you can kind of apply something. I don't believe in one size fits all. So you want to make sure you go ahead and identify something that works best for you. And I see the Pomodoro technique. I see someone wrote tomato sauce technique. Yes, we're going to talk about that. And it's referring to tomato. And we're going to talk about where that comes from. And then the next thing we'll talk about is life's distractions. And there, I'm going to talk to you guys about the urgent, important matrix. That's another technique or a principle, you can say. And then prioritizing, we'll talk about another technique there. And then we're going to go through and talk about the week 3 project. All right, we're going to start with what is time management? Um, So, time management is a range of skills and tools to help you complete your goals or tasks. It's not just important in your academics or in your career, but it's important in your day to day. So, how you're balancing your choices, you want to make sure that you are, thinking about the quality of the time that's being spent and not just the time that is being spent. So, what I mean by that is you want to make purposeful choices. You want to make sure that you are identifying the best use of your time. So the quality of your time management, it depends on the accuracy of the decisions that you make throughout the day. So you'll focus on what it is that you have to do, how well you're going to do it, and when exactly you are going to do it. So as you're going through and you are creating your to-do lists, your calendars, and things of that nature, you want to identify the areas that are most important and how long it is that you're spending on those tasks. So make sure you all are keeping these things in mind. So think of your decisions about what to do. Are they accurate reflection of the highest of your values and what it is that you need to do? Are your decisions about things purposeful? Are you organizing your life so that you are, using things to the best of your ability? You're using your time wisely and you're completing all the tasks that are necessary and on time. That is the key here. It's completing your task on time. So you want to get away from just saying, okay, hey, I've done it. But now you want to kind of reframe your mind and reframe your habits to the point where now you're completing things. Not only are you completing them, but you're completing them on time or early. All right, moving on. Now we're going to talk about maybe some tools that you can use to help you organize your days. So, in the industry, there's like different types of tools and products that you can use in order to keep yourself organized. There's like different apps and things of that nature. And right now, we're in the age of technology where we have access to a lot of these tools in our phones, our computers, laptops, and tablets. So I want you guys to maybe come up with a few of apps or maybe some ideas of how to organize your time. So I want you to go into the chat box right now and maybe share with us some different apps that you use to keep yourself organized. And you can also share these in the discussion board later on during the week when you are completing your discussions. Here I'm seeing alarms, Google Calendar, email, notes, notepad, voice note. I really do love the voice note feature. I recently started using voice note just so I can take a few notes just to remind myself of some tasks that I have to do. I don't know if it has to do with getting older or what it is, but I'm starting to forget things now. So now I'm trying to make sure I don't forget things, so I use voice note. I saw that I send text messages. Someone said that they send themselves text messages to their phone. I think that's another great idea. If you don't open those text messages, when you go back to it later, you can kind of still see the reminder there. So I think that's a great idea. And then Google Calendar for sure. I love Google Calendar, um, especially when it populates from your computer to your phone. That's a great one. It always keeps you on track. Voice memo and text. All right, great job here. Again, feel free to share these with some of your classmates in your discussion posts this week. Um, so now we're going to play a little game. It's called What Am I? I'm going to go through I'm going to give you all 4 different items, and I'm going to give you clues, and you're going to try to guess what those items are. I will not give you the answers until we go through all 4 of the products. It could be it's basically there are different time management tools at your disposal. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one. The first one is, here are the clues. I can be found on an Android or an iPhone. I've been around for a long time. You can input upcoming dates. I have many different forms and features. All right, I'm starting to see some come up. I see calendar, calendar app, calendar, notepad, Google Calendar. All right, balancer. I think they meant try calendar. I'm not seeing anything different from Oh, I saw notepad again. So a few people think calendar, and then someone specifically wrote Google Calendar. Notes. I'm giving everybody a chance to come up with their, I see reminder and reminder. Come up with your answer. Once you lock in that answer, that's it, because we're going to score you at the end. So make sure you all put your answers. All right. Oh, I saw a clock and reminder. Okay. I'm going to count down to give you guys about 5 more seconds to lock in your responses. All right. We are moving on. I'm not going to give you all the answers until I go through all of them, and then you can score yourselves. All right. What am I? Number 2. I allow you to access your documents virtually anywhere. I can be used to keep your school assignments secure. I can be used to share documents. I can create private links and access. I'm seeing Google Drive, the cloud, Google Drive, lots of Google Drives, cloud, Google Drive. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let you all put those in. I saw OneDrive, cloud, which can also mean Google Drive, okay? It is a type of cloud. I'll let you guys finish locking those in. I'll read it one more time I saw a couple of people just joining us. I allow you to access your documents virtually anywhere. I can be used to keep your school assignments secure. I can be used to share documents, and I can create private links and access. I got Dropbox, MySpace. Okay. I'm going to give you 5 more seconds because I saw a couple of responses that I haven't seen before. Google Docs. All right. We are moving on, so lock in your answers. Number 3, I've been around for a long time. I can be written on paper or created electronically. I make remembering things a lot easier. I can be simple or creative. I see notes, planner, notepad, notes, apps, ideas, email. Remember, we're talking about a time management tool. What can you use to manage your time? WordPad, reminder, Post-it, memo pad, calendar, tablet. I see another Post-it. Oh, I think this might be the one that trips everyone up. Someone wrote, hold on electronically. Yes, that's the second clue. It says you can be written on paper or you can create this electronically. Google spreadsheets. Wait, I might have saw the answer. I see some question marks behind list ideas. I'm not giving you all the answers until after we are done. Planner, yellow pad. All right, we are moving on to our final tool. I can be a tool on a phone. I am used in the kitchen. I am used in the classroom. I can help you keep track of time. I've been around for a long time. Clock, timer, calculator. What is a clock? Alarm, clock, timer, alarm. I see keynote, timepiece. Okay. I'm going through, I see notes again. I see a measuring tape app, a stopwatch, an iPhone. All right, I'm giving you all a few more seconds to lock it in, and then you're going to score yourselves to see how you've done in this game. The measuring app. Oh, Jasmine, don't be nervous. We'll see how well we've done. All right, we are going to score ourselves, so lock in your answers. All right, we're going to start with, what am I, number 1? I can be found on an Android or iPhone. I've been around for a long time. You can input upcoming dates and many different forms and features. For this one was calendar. So if you came up with calendar, then you are correct. So far, you got 1 out of 4. So if you got, yes, pat yourself on the back if you got calendar for what am I, number 1. Excellent. It looks like I think almost everyone got this one right. So you should all be starting off with a positive score. All right, what am I, number 2? I allow you to access your documents virtually anywhere. I can be used to keep your school assignments secure. I can be used to share documents. I can create private links and access. Drum roll, please. If you said some type of cloud like Google Drive, 1. No, if you said iCloud, anything like that, then you are correct. I am referring to a cloud. Double points for Google Drive because we refer to this in your assignments. So excellent, excellent, excellent. Yes, I'm seeing some cartwheels. You guys are so excited. Dropbox was here first. Yes, John. We were all using Dropbox at some point. So I agree with you. At some point, we were using Dropbox, but we are using Google Drive now. All right, moving on to what am I number 3? I've been around for a long time. I can be written on paper or created electronically. I make remembering things a lot easier. I can be simple or creative. This one is the one that's a little bit tricky, but here it says I can be written on paper. That is the key word. And we are talking about list. If you said to-do list, or if you said, any list or a to-do list, that is exactly what I was talking about. I might even take planner because I can see how you can get planner off of this one. Yeah, that's the one that always gets everyone. I think I only saw like a few people who got the right answer. So that one was to-do list. And I told you I might kind of take planner because I can see what direction you're going in for planner. Sarah says she said planner and reminders. I can see that. Like, I can actually see that one. Yes, it's okay. A lot of people miss this one. All right, we're moving on to number 4. This is it. This is your chance to redeem yourself. I can be a tool on a phone. I am used in the kitchen. I'm used in the classroom. I can help you keep track of time. I've been around for a long time. This one, if you said timer, then you were correct. This is like a timer. Think about, how you have a timer, or like I could even take stopwatch or alarm. So if you came up with that, then yeah. Oh, all right. We got somebody got a 4 out of 4. I always get a few people. All right, excellent. Excellent. You all did very well on our time management tools. Hopefully, you all are incorporating these time management tools in your lives now. And if you're not, hopefully, it makes you kind of think about it again and you're choosing to incorporate these into your daily lives. So we are going to move on, and we are focusing on procrastination. If you all look at my procrastination cat there, he is lazy. As Felipe said, that's you. Okay. He is cute. I agree. I like the cat. All right, so I want you guys to kind of think about how many times have you kind of meant to do something only to put it off? Kind of relying on your willpower and your success kind of depends on your level of intent and your motivation. So when you're thinking about when you're thinking of procrastination, it's putting off what it is that you need to do. You're not taking any action, and sometimes that can be because you feel that whatever task it is that you need to complete is too difficult or too overwhelming. So I want you all to kind of identify what are some of the things that make you procrastinate. And you can choose to share that with us if you're comfortable. And if you don't want to share, that's fine too. Someone said they procrastinate to walk their dog when it rains or snows. All right, I can understand that. Sleep, everything, depression, your mental state can definitely be a reason for you to procrastinate. Too many things to juggle, exhaustion, and I can understand that. Sometimes when you're overwhelmed with everything that's going on, that can cause you to procrastinate. Imagine, if you're working, or, some of you have kids and families and others have jobs, and you're trying to balance school, or you might be dealing with different things. Sometimes you feel overwhelmed and you just cannot bring yourself to do anything. And it's not because you just don't want to, it's that mental space. You just can't get out of your head sometimes. Someone says they procrastinate all the time when it comes to cooking. I think that can be really difficult. And someone said personal time. I get that. I understand that. All right, so now I'm going to give you all a powerful tool that's going to help you in procrastination. There's several tools that we can say that can help you identify ways to stop procrastinating. I don't think that we will completely in procrastination for the rest of your life. But when you kind of identify that you are procrastinating, maybe you can come up with some different strategies or some tools that you can use to help you kind of get out of that mindset. So, a powerful tool to end procrastination. What do you all think I'm going to say? What is this powerful tool that's going to end procrastination? Any ideas? Adderall, motivation, time, goal motivation. Oh, I saw somebody who came up with my answer, but I'm not going to say it out loud. Coffee, your daughter. Someone else said me. Tequila, willpower. Yes, you know who you are. You said me. I will not say your name because everyone in the chat will know my powerful tool to end procrastination. Turn off your phone, willpower, positive attitude. All of these are great tools that are going to help you in procrastination, but the one I am referring to is making it easier. And that's going to go into the Pomodoro technique. We're going to watch a short video on this. But before we do, making a task simpler or easier is basically getting the opportunity to simplify that task where you don't feel so overwhelmed and you feel like you can continue to focus on a smaller action, and that way you can continue to work on a simpler task instead of working on the larger task. So you want to reduce that resistance that you feel. You want to feel focused. You want to identify what it is that is your tipping point. What is causing you not to act? And Tommy, you were correct about my procrastination tool, which was to make it easier. So I'm going to go ahead and play this really short video. Hopefully it works. And if it does not, I can move it over. I am seeing that my link is not working, but that's okay because I have it here. Why is this one not coming up? I'm sorry, we are having small technical difficulties with my video. It usually works. Procrastination and the Let's see if I can pull this one up. Okay, that's okay. We don't need to pull up the video. We'll just go ahead and go through and discuss what it is. Basically, this technique was developed, and the name Pomodoro technique comes from, obviously, it's referring to tomato, and it's derived from Italy. And the person that came up with the Pomodoro technique used different Pomodoros, and they used what was called a tomato timer. And this is how they kind of got the name for the Pomodoro technique. Basically, the basic steps of this technique is to break down tasks into smaller chunks. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and kind of tell you all how you would do this. And if you feel like this is a technique that will benefit you, you can go ahead and try it out this week, and maybe see if that's kind of help you with some of those procrastination obstacles that you may be facing. So we're going to start with a task. The first thing is to do is to select the task that you want to work on, and you're going to set the timer for 25 minutes. You see here that 25 minutes is in parentheses because everyone you can choose that set up amount of time that you can work without interruption. Everyone tends to work, at a different pace, or they can work longer for longer amounts of times or shorter amounts of time. So you have to kind of identify how much you can actually get done. Me personally, I think I can usually do about an hour or so before I feel like I'm getting antsy and I want to work on something else. So here you want to set the timer for, I would say, 25 minutes to an hour. And then some people can go a lot longer than that, but you just want to make sure that you're not feeling too overwhelmed. So, start off with a smaller amount. And then if you feel like, yeah, I'm taking too many breaks here, then you can gradually increase the amount of time that you're spending in between those breaks. Okay, so you're going to set the timer for that set amount of time. For the sake of this example, we're going to go with 25 minutes. You're going to work on that task for 25 minutes. When the timer goes off, you're going to go ahead and check off the items that you were able to complete, and then you're going to take a short break. And here it says 3 to 5 minutes. Then you're going to go back to step 2, and you're going to set your timer again for 25 minutes. You're going to do this 4 times. After you've done this 4 times, you're going to go ahead and take a 15 to a 30-minute break. And then you are going to go back to step 1. Usually if you go ahead and you do this, you can get a lot accomplished. If you find one of those people who tend to get overwhelmed when it comes to a difficult task or a large task, for example, if you have your week 3 project that you are going to work on, this would be a great way to kind of try out this technique. I would, start with part 1, work on my project for 25 minutes to 30 minutes, take a short break, work on the second part, which is a lot longer. You might break down, the different paragraphs that you have to write, and you're going to go ahead and break those down into each one of your Pomodoros. So just a little challenge for you all. If you feel like you're one of those people that kind of struggle when you kind of look at the project and you feel a little overwhelmed, go ahead and try this technique this week and kind of see if that works for you. And I would love your feedback on that, and just let me know if you think that this technique is beneficial, and that way I can share this with other students. So if you all decide to use this technique and it works really well, please let me know. Or if you decide to use the technique and it doesn't work really well, let me know also, and we can kind of identify what were the challenges that you kind of faced. So go ahead and, try to work on that, and then you can send me a quick message and just let me know if that was able to work for you. Well, I'm glad you're going to try this, Jasmine. So I'm going to go ahead and move on. And then Victoria says she doesn't take breaks very often. Try, like I said, some people can work a lot longer before they need a break. So maybe try taking these breaks and seeing, what effects, if any, it has on you, instead of working on your task all the way through. All right, perfect. We are moving on. All right, now we're going to talk about the top distractions that people face. Often we face many distractions when it comes to your, personal life, your academic life, and your career. And many times those types of distractions that we face, they include people, our phones, that's a big one, our bodies, and our environment. When I'm referring to when I'm referring to people, what I mean by people, I think of, just anytime somebody may come over, let's just say you're at home and you're working on an assignment and your doorbell rings, your neighbor could just want to chat and shoot the breeze. And, you kind of want to do that, but that's a distraction. Um, Other times, if you live with different people in the home, you can get distracted by their different needs and their wants. And so you want to make sure when you are faced with those types of distractions, you carve out time specifically to do what it is that you need to do. And yes, kids can be a distraction, and your dog can be a distraction. And this is what I mean by maybe trying to figure out what their downtime is. For example, if you have kids, maybe their nap time or their bedtime, or if you have school age children when they're off at school. It's just really trying to identify what moments in your life where it's a lot simpler to get things done, and won't have as many distractions. All right, the next one is your phone. Our phones can be a huge distractions. You can kind of sit there and you get all these notifications. Like, for example, when I'm sitting here and I'm doing this live lecture, I have to make sure that I set my phone off, to the side and on silent, because we often hear those dings, the vibrates, the notifications, because you can easily get distracted. You don't mean to, but sometimes it's best, like, for example, when you are using the technique like we talked about before, in your 25 or 30-minute block, maybe you should set your phone off, or, put it on silent. And then when you are taking that 3 to 5 minute break, then you can go ahead and turn it over and then check your notifications. And then, when you're back to working, you want to turn it over again and turn it off. And that way you're not distracted by your phone. So that's just a little tidbit there. And then your body, I did see in the chat box, I had a few question marks when I said your body. What I mean by your body is thinking of your personal needs. For example, if you're hungry, if you're tired, if you're not feeling well, you're not in a good mental headspace, that is going to be very distracting. For example, if I was here and I'm doing this live lecture and you all hear my stomach growling, that would be very distracting. It would not only distract me, but it would distract you all. So you want to make sure before you're working on a task or you're having to sit down for a while, you can go ahead and either eat during your breaks, eat before you get started on your task, take care of your needs, because it's hard for you to complete all the tasks that you need to complete if you haven't been taking care of your basic needs. So make sure you are identifying your basic needs before you can address some of the tasks that you need to get done. And then finally, your environment. You want to make sure you're not somewhere where you're too cold or you're too hot. You want to make sure you're not somewhere where it's too loud and you can easily get distracted. When you're working on any task, even if you're working on your craft or you're working on your school assignment, you want to be able to immerse yourself and really focus on what it is that you're doing. So make sure you're in an environment that's conducive to completing your task and being able to focus on what it is that you're doing. All right. Now we're going to talk about a different technique. It's called the urgency matrix. Here, it's basically identifying the things that are important, and the things that are not important. So here you have in quadrant 1, it's referring to urgent things. And when it comes to urgent things, we're talking about like crises, things that have to be done immediately. So I want you to think, for example, today is Tuesday and you have your discussion board that's due tomorrow. So having an assignment that's due tomorrow, and then let's just say you want to finish a book, those are the two things on your to-do list. You want to make sure that you go ahead and you tackle the assignment first before you're trying to focus on finishing out that book that you were, reading or working on. I know that was like a real basic example. I'm sure we have plenty more to do than just reading the book, but that was like the first thing that popped in my mind. And then under urgent, if you look at quadrant 3, you may be wondering why are interruptions there. You can have urgent interruptions. For example, let's just say you were at work. This is a perfect example. You're at work and you work in a cubicle, let's say, and your coworker walks by and she hasn't seen you in a little bit. She might have been out and she was on vacation, and she decides to talk to you about her vacation. So she stops you from doing your work and she starts to talk about her vacation. So now it's not important, obviously, but it's urgent because you don't want to be rude and the person is standing right in front of you. So what does that do? It interrupts you from doing what it is that you need to do. So you want to make sure that you're not spending as much time on these non important interruptions. So you're going to say, you'll let the person talk for a while, and then you say, I'm going to, complete my task or continue working on my task. So make sure when you have these types of interruptions that are urgent, you address them quickly and efficiently. Another thing is, for example, if you were driving to work and you had to get to work and you had a flat tire, you know, that was really urgent. On the grand scheme of things, a tire isn't as important as your livelihood, but you need to address this and make sure that you have a way to get to work. So you would address this efficiently and quickly in order to go to work and finish doing what it is that you need to do. And then your non-urgent would be under goals and planning. Your goals and your planning are very important. Um, and they're just not urgent. So if there's something that's not urgent that needs to be addressed right away, that would go under quadrant 2 when you're going ahead to plan those things. And then in quadrant 4, these are your distractions. Not important, and they're not urgent. And that's, kind of like back to when we're talking about distractions, like your phone, for example, watching cat videos on your phone. It's not urgent and it's not really important, but it is fun and we like to do it. So those are the things that we kind of put off to the side and make sure that we're not spending too much of our time on that. Remember earlier we were talking about balancing your time and make sure you are using purposeful, you're creating purposeful, I guess, creating purposeful calendars, or you're creating your to-do lists are very purposeful and intentional. I should say the way you use your time is very intentional. And Jacob, I understand because I love those cat videos as well. So that would make sense. I understand. So we're going to go ahead and move on. Our time is just really flying by today. So I want to make sure I'm going to honor your time and get through this. So our next one that we're going to talk about is the 80-20 rule. This is more common in the business industry. A lot of you all might have heard of the 80-20 rule. This has been around for a while, and you want to make sure that 20% of your activities will account for 80% of your results. You'll often hear this when it comes to kind of like the business mindset. You don't want to spend the majority of your time working on things that are not purposeful or intentional. So when we talk about the 80-20 rule, this is exactly what you want to make sure you keep in mind. So we're going to go ahead and move on. And here's a little priorities chart. I haven't had you all work on anything in a little bit, so I want you to look at this chart, and you're going to look at the list on the side. It says network or promote your brand, week 3 posts, pack boxes, and finish a book. There's 4 things. On the right side, you're going to see boxes, and you're going to identify which area do you think each one of them would be in. So I want you to write number 1, and then you're going to write which item do you think goes into quadrant 1, which item you think goes into 2, 3, and 4. So go ahead and work on that. I got your week 3 post for number 1. So that would be a high priority and high urgency. All right. All right. Number 2, I'm seeing low priority, high urgency would be to pack boxes. And then what's for number 3? Number 3, I'm seeing high importance and low urgency, which would be to network or promote your brand. I'm seeing a couple of people are going back and forth with the finish the book and the packing of the boxes. Well, if you came up with the week 3 post as the first one, networking, finishing your brand is 2, packing boxes is 3, and finishing your book as 4. The book, if obviously I used that example earlier, would be your low importance and your low urgency. The only reason, based on this list, mind you, I'm just going by this list, the reason that your week 3 post ends up being your high importance and your high urgency is because of it immediately needing to be done. If you are one of those people who have an issue with prioritizing, sometimes it helps to lay out your task this way. Oftentimes, you kind of tend to, people who have issues with prioritizing, you tend to focus on doing the things that you want to do versus focusing on the things that need to be done. And that's the purpose of using these types of matrix to kind of reframe your mind or your thought process. So if you are one of the students that are battling prioritizing, you might want to use this strategy this week where you're going to create a list, and then I want you to go ahead and put those items based on importance and urgency, so you can kind of reframe the way it is that you are thinking about the way that you use your time. So there's that one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start talking about our week 3 project. Before we do that, I always want to spend a little bit of time talking about the completion, mark as completed. Make sure after you are reviewing the materials that you are selecting mark as completed. I get a few students who will go through and complete, for example, 3.2 and 3.3, and they'll complete it before the due date, and then it'll still pop up as a 0, and they're wondering why this pops up at a 0, and that's because you're not selecting mark as completed. Same goes for after you go ahead and write attended for the go-to. Make sure you're submitting that. It's a little red button at the bottom. So everyone that was here tonight, you want to make sure you go into 3.1 and you write in attended and you write that. If you are watching the video later and answering the questions, you're going to respond to the questions, but you're not going to mark attended. You're going to respond to the questions and then submit your response into that comment box. All right, so for part 1, we are going to create a fixed commitment calendar. Now I'm moving on to the week 3 project. Part 1 of the project is to create a fixed commitment calendar. That is going to be a PDF file. You're going to see the template there. You can use the template there, and you'll also see the template in the workbook itself. When you are completing the template, please make sure you provide your total available hours. I've had some students who really like the fixed commitment calendar and they've decided to create their own, and that's perfectly fine with me as well. You just want to make sure you just address the same elements and you use the template as a guide. So make sure you provide the total available hours after you have completed that calendar. If you look towards the bottom, it's kind of small in blue where it says the total available hours. So make sure you go ahead and do that. So when you go through and you're filling out the fixed commitment calendar, you want to make sure you write in the activities, everything from what it is that you're doing, from like sleep, your work, your meals, any activities that you need to do. For example, if you're part of organizations or anything like that, you want to make sure you put all of that stuff in. And then all the other hours that are left, that's considered your availability. That is considered your availability and what it is that you have left. So good job with this one. All right, and then the next part is going to be part 2. Part 2 is for you to pick 3 that you can apply to your life. You're going to pick 3 time management concepts. The time management concepts are listed in the directions. I identified them here, but remember, you're going to select 3 out of the list, and you're going to create 2 paragraphs for each one. For example, if you want to do the fixed commitment calendar, you're going to select the fixed commitment calendar and you're going to identify how this can be beneficial to you, either in your personal life. You can say how this can be beneficial to helping you organize your days and keep track of your schoolwork, for example. So you want to make sure that you're saying how this can be applied to your life and not just talking about what the time management concept is. So keep that in mind as you are working on part 2. We are going to go ahead and move on to part 3. Part 3 of the project is going to be for you all to create a to-do list. We talked about to-do list earlier, and you want to make sure your to-do list is purposeful. If you look into the time management workbook, you will see that there's an example of the to-do list. You can use that template, or again, you can make sure you use your own, but you want to make sure that you are, incorporating all the things that's being asked of you in the template if you choose to create your own to-do list. Like I said, people find these very beneficial, and the whole purpose is for you to make sure that you're taking these tools and these concepts and applying them, not only into this course, but you can apply them later on to your next courses. All right, that is all. Do I have any questions about the week 3 project? We went through all 3 parts of the project. I'm getting no. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any. Well, thank you, Stella. This was an excellent class. You guys were really active. Thank you all. All right, I want you all to know, and then I'm leaving you guys with my little nugget for the night. Time management is really life management and personal management. And I'm challenging you all to take control of the next parts. You were all given some tools tonight. If there's any tools that you weren't familiar with, it doesn't hurt to give it a try. And always feel free to let us know if it worked well or if it didn't work well, and what kind of challenges that you might have faced. And I thank you all so much for participating. I really appreciate you all. Thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go ahead and stick around for a little bit just to make sure we don't have any questions. And I want to make sure that we all understand what it is that we need to do for this week. You all have a wonderful night.